Hello my lovelies and welcome to another video on my channel. Thank you very much for joining me today. I thought I'd do a quick little video because I was about to sit down and clean up my nail art brushes. So I always store my nail art brushes with a little bit of gel in them, in the bristles. It tends to keep them supple, stops your bristles from drying out. And it just generally maintains them. But over time, that gets built up. You get a build-up of colour and gel because you always, well, I use mine a lot. So they get a build-up of gel and they start to be less than, performance is a bit less than ideal. So this brush I've just given a quick little clean. And as you can see, the bristles are quite supple. I can separate the bristles out, but it's still holding a nice shape. So that one has had a little bit of a clean, as opposed to this one, which has not. So I don't know how well the camera's going to pick this up. Obviously, you can't feel it. This feels really tacky. There's no separation between the bristles. Like, I'd be really hard pressed to split those out. And it's just, you can see it's just sort of bending and moving, and it's not ideal. I can feel there's a build-up of product in there. This one, oh my goodness, I can't believe I've done this, but clearly I was not paying attention when I put my brush away. I got a bit of a shock when I opened it and found it in this state. So honestly not sure if we're going to be able to restore this one, but we are going to give it our best shot. Now, normally I would never suggest that you expose your nail art brushes to isopropyl alcohol because it is very drying for the bristles. However, is it a fantastic cleanser when they get to this stage. So I'm just using 100% isopropyl alcohol. You need something that's got no sort of oils or anything in it, just something that's just going to strip out that gel. And then we are going to treat them nicely afterwards. So as I said, I always store my brushes with gel on them. You need a clear gel polish of some description. I always use base coat, but you need a base coat that's never been exposed to colour or glitter or something like that. So I have a base coat that I use to cover over glitter and things like that. So I'm not going to use this one. I'm going to use this one. It's an NSI one, and it has never seen a hint of glitter in its life. So get yourself a little flat palette of some description and just put a little bit of base coat down. You'll need a dapper dish, something to put your isopropyl alcohol in. So all I do is I just soak the bristles in isopropyl alcohol for a few seconds. You can see the way those bristles are still sticking together, that this brush desperately needs a clean. So I'm just going to leave it for a few seconds, let it get into the bristles, and I'm going to come in with my nail and I'm just going to very gently sort of not prise the bristles apart, but just encourage them apart. I'm not twisting my fingers or doing anything that's going to cause damage to the bristles. I'm just trying to split them out, because then you can get the isopropyl alcohol will get through. You can see on the tip here where obviously there's just been a lot of gel that's just sort of stuck together. And as you see over time, some of the bristles are starting to split out, and that's exactly what you want. So just keep sort of coming in with your IPA and then gently with your fingers. Now you can start to see, hopefully on the camera, that those bristles are starting to splay and it's starting to look a lot better. So you can see those are separate. I'm just going to wipe my hand off on some paper towel. The bristles are feeling a whole lot better. They're no longer tacky and sticky. There's some life back in them. You can see they're nice and flexible. And now I can spread out my bristles on my brush, which means that they're nice and clean. You haven't got that layer of gel gooping everything together. That's a technical term, by the way. Yeah, so that's what we want. So each individual bristle can now be separated from our brush. So that is going to give us a whole lot better performance. So I'm just going to put that aside and let that dry for the moment. And then we'll come back to it and I'll show you how you can do with the base gel. So hopefully you can see that on camera. This one's exactly the same. The bristles are just like, it's like one solid massive bristle, which is obviously not what you want. So I've soaked it for a few seconds. I'm going to come in very gently with my nail. You're really not being harsh on the bristles. Like, this one's being quite stubborn, so I'm not going to persist. I'm going to put it back in the alcohol. Obviously needs a little bit longer break down that gel. And of course, you need to be very careful with your brushes when you're doing your mani. You know, you want to make sure that they're never put near your UV or LED lamp, whichever you use, because if that's happened, your gel will cure in it, and there's no amount of isopropyl alcohol or anything that is going to help you in that instance. As with anything with gel polish, the only way to get rid of that would be to soak it in acetone, much like you would, you know, doing a soak off gel. If it's hard gel, it's never going to come out because that alcohol won't work on, acetone won't work on that either. So, you know, only a file will get off hard gel, which, you know, you can't obviously do with your nail art brushes. So if it's a soft gel, then you can have a go at soaking it in acetone, but you're going to be hard pressed to get your brush back to life, but it's worth a shot. You know, it's a lot better than just throwing your brush away. So here we go. Now we've got that nice separation again, as you can see. Yeah, that's splitting out really quite nicely. It's feeling lovely and soft. It's got some flexibility and some movement back in it. And I just lightly do this little jiggle motion because I think it just helps get the alcohol through the bristles a bit. But I'm pretty happy with that now. So I'm just going to set that next to my blue one and let that dry. So I'll do the other ones off camera, apart from this black one, which, oh my goodness, I can't believe I have done that. So we are going to see if we can restore and revive this brush. If this doesn't work, then I will put it in some hot water, very hot water, because often with the bristles, if they've, and I think it has actually been a while since I used this one, so it's probably been sitting like this for quite a while. Don't recommend doing this to your brushes, ladies and gents. It is really no way to treat your brushes, and I don't know how I missed that when I put it back in its container, but somehow I did. So this one is obviously going to take a little bit longer. It's starting to get a little bit of flexibility back, so we'll encourage it with a bit of alcohol for a little bit longer. And as I said, this is not something that you do regularly. You do not want to be doing this every time you use your brushes, and it's really just, it's not necessary. You know, once you've used them, you can clean them out with just wipe them down with a lint-free cloth, paper towel, something like that. And then do what I'm about to show you with the base coat, and, you know, you can store them like that for a long time before you need to do this. I wouldn't have done this for 6 months probably. Not that I use my nail art brushes for every mani, but I do use them for most, one or two of them at least. And I want to use them today, which is also why I'm doing this right now. Okay, I think this is going to need a little bit of soaking in hot water. Well, not really soaking, that's a bit, yeah, you can't soak it, obviously you'll damage the actual brush itself, but I might just put the bristles in some hot water. It is definitely coming back to life. I can at least separate my bristles out now. It's just this kink in here that we need to get out now. So I think we need a little bit of heat. So we've revived the bristles just by doing the standard technique. But yes, I'm going to need to go and get some boiling water and see if we can fix this one up. So I shall do that shortly. For the moment, I'll just pop that to the side because I don't want to keep soaking that in alcohol. So, and I've just got this one more to go. I've already done my my yellow one and my detail brush. So this one should be a little bit quicker. It's a tiny little brush, this one. So it might actually take a little bit longer because the bristles are harder to get to. But you can see it's starting to revive itself now. You can start to see those bristles separating a bit in the alcohol. Yeah, that's feeling a whole lot better. I've got some flexibility back in it, and my bristles are separating, so happy days. Okay. Yeah, very good. Okay. And if you do this little jiggle, as I said, you can see the bristles split out, so you know that they've all had a really good clean. Okay, I'm just going to get myself a little bit of paper towel here, and I'm going to take this was my first brush that I did. So all I do, I've got my little glob of base coat here. I just very lightly tap it in the base coat. You're not looking to get a whole goopy bit of gel on here, not by any means. I've managed to attach a hair there somehow. Okay, and then just roll, very lightly roll your bristles. I'm not putting any pressure on. As you can see, my bristles aren't bending. There's no pressure here at all. And then just go to a separate part of your palette and just start rolling a little bit. You're getting rid of the excess base gel here as well, and just making sure that your bristles are well coated. I like to do a slight little wiggle that you can see here, and that helps make sure that all the bristles are getting coated in the base gel. Okay, and then of course you're wanting to maintain your shape as well. So you are doing this very gently, you know, never ever to sort of stab your brush on your palette or anything like that. That's just going to be the best way to destroy your brushes. So, you know, most things you can bounce back from, you can restore your brushes, but every now and again, you know, something like a hard gel being cured in it, you're not going to be able to restore that brush. But it's always worth a shot with, you know, a trick like this. And that's maintained my bristles very nicely. I don't have any excess on that because I've been dipping it to the side, but I do just like to come in with a lint free and just very lightly make sure it's in shape, and then come in with your lid and pay much more attention than what I did with my black brush. Make sure you're coming in nice and straight, and always store your brushes standing up so that the bristles are facing down. Obviously that's only the case if you have a cap on your brush. If you don't, if it's a brush that, yeah, a capless brush that you keep in a drawer or something like that, then always keep them on their side. Never leave them so that the bristles are facing upwards. So if you've got any gel or anything like that, it's basically just going to work its way down into the base of the brush, and that's not going to be good. That's not what you want. So I'm just going to do a very light little squiggle. This one's going to look a bit more violent because it's a much shorter bristle brush. But as you can see, I'm not doing any damage. And I'm always going against, you know, sort of pushing my brush back this way. You know, you don't want to put your bristles down and face that way because, you know, you're going to strain, you're going to put that angle on your bristles that you don't want. So always sort of roll it, squiggle it, and then roll it back into shape, pulling away from the bristles, not towards them. And come in with your lint free, just remove any excess. My little lid's over here, and there we go. I'm just going to go and grab some hot water, and I'll be back in a second. Okay, we are back. This is a little pot of very hot water. I just boiled the kettle. So I don't want to get the water in the actual, like at the join where my bristles join the brush. You can see that that's already starting to work. Yeah, I don't want to actually get any water up into the base of my brush because obviously there's glue and all sorts of stuff holding the bristles in place. So I'm just being very careful just to get it to the very base of that. And then gently start to prise these bristles apart a little bit. Oh, I think we might actually be able to restore this, everybody. Which is what we like. Okay, I've put my IPA aside. What have I done with it? Ah, there it is. It's just over the back here. Let me bring this back because we're going to need that again in a second. Okay, got a bit of a lint-free wipe here. Still got a little bit of a bend, but I think that's partly because there's still gel in here. So again, I really do not recommend that you do this. Be very careful when you put your brushes back in the lid, unlike me, clearly, last time I used this brush. But we are getting a little bit of life back into it, so the kinks have been removed a bit. I think we're just between the IPA and the boiling water. I think we might just be able to revive this brush. Okay, there's still a slight kink, so I'm just going to dry that off. And I'm going to pop that back in the water just for a little bit. Let's straighten it out with our fingers. And we're just about there. So it just goes to show a little bit of enticing, a little bit of TLC. You can bring brushes back to life most of the time. As I said, about the only thing really is if you get acrylic or gel that cures in your brushes. Then you're really forced to use acetone, and that can be very harsh on your bristles. Okay, I'm just going to push that aside, and I'm going to come back, give it a little bit more of a rub-a-dub in my IPA. Try and split those bristles out a little bit more. There we go. So this one not only had gel build up in it, which is pretty standard for nail art brushes, but because of the angle that it was stored in, basically it just sort of got stuck in that position. So you have to try and retrain your bristles to lay flat. And I've got that separation in my bristles again now. Excellent. All right. Come back in with some builder gel. Now this one's got longer bristles, so it is going to need a bit more TLC and a little bit more movement to coat those bristles fully. So you can see I'm moving that gel through, the brush through that base gel. And I'm twisting my brush as I go just to make sure I get really good coating on those bristles. I'm going to do the little wiggle. And then as with the others, I'm going to come in with my bit of paper towel and gently. Okay, so we've still got a little bit of a kink in it. But I think that's actually going to come out over time as I use the brush. And it gets retrained in this shape. I want to put it in boiling water again today. But I might have to next time I use it. If that's the case, we'll see what happens. But I think for the moment that's pretty good. I'm going to grab my lid and very carefully, paying attention this time, pop that away properly. All right, as always, thanks for watching, and I hope you found that video helpful. Stay safe, stay well. Bye.